Hi guys, it's Nina from VR Focus, and today is going to be a video about Transference. Or Transference, I'm not quite sure how to say it. This game is the creation of Spectravision, Elijah Wood's production company, and Ubisoft Montreal's company. So Spectravision and Ubisoft have worked together to create this. And it all started off because Spectravision, they love creating horror films, and so they were trying to think of a new way of telling stories in a very unique way. And so one of the writers who was working for Spectravision, he kind of said, well, you know, have you thought about virtual reality? And at the time, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, virtual reality was kind of having a resurgence. They knew a guy at Ubisoft who knew some people who were at the Funhouse in Montreal, at Ubisoft's Funhouse, where they kind of play around, and at the time they were working on Eagle Flight. So Spectravision went over to Ubisoft Montreal's Funhouse and they had a conversation, and they decided to create essentially what is to become Transference, or the experience that we're talking about right now. Transference is a psychological thriller, but the way that I would like to describe it is a inception of a family drama. You go into the troubled mind of 3 different characters. One is a troubled scientist called Raymond Haynes, his wife Catherine, and their son Benjamin. So Raymond Haynes has collected all of their brain data and created digital worlds that you go into. You play yourself, you play as you, so it's a first-person perspective, it's a seated experience, it's available on the Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, and PlayStation VR. And I first played this last year at E3 2017, and I gotta tell you, this is one of those games where I wanted to take my headset off because I was absolutely terrified. We were in a room and there were 4 other people and we all jumped into the experience at the same time, and you can play it differently. It's very difficult for me to explain the experience without actually having any gameplay footage of it because we weren't allowed to film it. That experience was terrifying. I had to go down into the cellar, and whenever you go down into a cellar where everything is dark and floating bits are happening and you hear very loud thumping noises and screaming, you kind of don't really want to go there, but virtual reality makes you. Whenever I clicked a button or I found a key or an object and I interacted with it to get to the next step within the house or the memory or the dream, the world started changing. And essentially what that is that that's the perspective or the world of either Raymond, Catherine, or Benjamin. So, for example, if I switched the light switch, I was jumping between different worlds that were either Catherine's or Benjamin's or Raymond's, if that makes any sense. This is definitely one of those games that if you like psychological thrillers or horrors and you like being scared, this is definitely a game for you. And if you don't want to be scared, don't play the game, because this is really, really scary. And if you're a pussy, you can just play it on the Xbox One or the PC or the PlayStation 4. I am pretty sure it is just as scary, but being in virtual reality just makes it 100 times more scarier, and you can't close your eyes and you can't run away, and your peripheral is just, you're in the world. So there's no way you can run and hide. It's just, you need to go in the world, you need to solve the problem and run and scream. I was screaming a lot. I mean, I was like sweating and my hands were disgusting, and scary game. Anyways, this demo was different to the one of last year. We were extremely lucky to be able to play it on Ubisoft's stand at E3. Thank you, Ubisoft, for allowing us to go in there, because I know you guys were on your lunch break, so thank you very much for that. This experience, or this demo, was different to the one of last year in the sense that I guess it was a different part of the story. Without knowing too much about the video game, it's very strange to suddenly jump into the world and care about the characters because you play yourself. Like, I don't actually know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm piecing these puzzles together or these memories together. I don't know if I care so much about Raymond or Catherine or Benjamin, what's going on. But I think that's what the whole game is about. I think that's the story. The story is that it grows on you and you get to know the characters more and you see their different perspectives as you go throughout the video game. I was absolutely terrified because of my last experience, and so I asked the guy at Ubisoft for like, okay, just tell me where to go, because I just want to finish this experience as quickly as possible. Do you mind if you guide me throughout this experience?
Yes.
I played it like, okay, I'm just gonna get to the objective as quickly and as fast as I possibly can because I want to finish this experience as quickly as possible. And this time there wasn't a creepy, scary cellar, but there was a kitchen, and I couldn't quite figure out what I had to do. This is very much an exploration, puzzle, putting things together game. And I was trying to figure out, how do I do this very quickly and how do I do this fast? You go through the doors, you find keys to open other doors, and certain doors will only open if you unlock one room. Then you can go to the next room, if that makes any sense. And there's like different worlds that you can jump into, in the sense that the world of Catherine might be very beautiful, and then the way that the troubled scientist might see, like, everything is dark and black. But what you do know is that there is a dark black giant creature that's following you throughout all these different worlds, and I felt like I was trying to escape it. I knew that there was something terrible going on and happening. And at the very end of my demo, there was a scene in the kitchen where I was switching between the two, or trying to figure out what to do next, and nothing was opening, and I was too terrified to open drawers and interact with different objects because everything's interactive. And there's claws on the door, and writings on the wall saying, "Help me." That just, I don't know why that's so scary when someone writes "help me" on like a door or a wall. It's just so clear and blatantly obvious a call for help. I had to change the radio dial to have the father and the son speak. So I had to change the radios in the different worlds, and I'm supposing this is Raymond's and the boys, to the same channel. And then suddenly they were able to speak to each other, and I heard the boy Benjamin go, "It's chasing me, it's chasing me." You hear this humongous monster, and it then attacks him, and then you hear the father go, "Benjamin, Benjamin." And you're kind of freaking out now because this is obviously the next step to the next level. And then lights start flickering, and then the light turns on in the hallway. So I was there just frozen, like, I know that if I go to the hallway, something bad's gonna happen. And the Ubisoft guy was like, "You need to go to the hallway to finish this next bit." So off I went to the hallway, and indeed there was a flickering light, and I didn't know what to do. I just froze. I didn't know where to go backwards or forwards because everything was dark, and there was this huge shadow in this hallway that just came towards me, and I was just terrified. I was like, "Okay, is this finished? Am I done? I'm dead now." I was scared I was going to relive, but no, that was the end of the demo. And Kevin played it very, very differently. I'm sure that he, is not scared of horror games whatsoever, and he just opened all the drawers, looked at all of the objects, and just played around in it way long. I mean, he had like an extra few 10 to 15 minutes where I just saw him throwing papers around, looking at it, and they dissolved as he touched them. And he didn't quite know what he was doing. So he needed a little bit of help as well. And he wasn't terrified at all. So there's different ways of feeling fear. I got scared because I played the last one, and I hate dark corridors and hallways, and maybe it's a woman thing and I'm just scared of like the idea of rape if you go down a dark hallway or underneath a dark bridge and there's no light. My mom just always said, just don't even think about going underneath it. It's just not safe. So maybe that's just my inherent fear of dark places when everything's dark and you can't see it. But otherwise, sometimes it's an object that scares you, because then when you pick something up, suddenly the whole world, can suddenly change, and then you've got the perspective of another family member. That's my experience of the demo or of Transference, and I think that you're going to enjoy it. It's coming out this fall, this year, meaning that if you want to play a scary horror game or thriller for Halloween, this is it. This is the experience in the video game. And it was hilarious talking to the writer, because even with him I asked him, like, do you like what you've created, this world, this experience? And he was like, "I'm terrified of it. I don't even play it when it's dark. I just play it when the lights are on and it's in the middle of the day." So if the writer's that scared, they're doing something right. But I also think there's this line, maybe potentially jumping too far into virtual reality very, very quickly, in the sense that, do you want to scare people that much in VR? Pretty sure your answer is yes. But for the first timers, like people who don't play virtual reality a lot or have never really played it before, and definitely not a horror or a psychological thriller, and it's not their type of thing, maybe you might scare them away from VR forever. You know, because it's so terrifying and it's so immersive. Have a think about that. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.